Hey there, loyal listeners. It's your host, C. Eshelman, and we are having a day of unmuted love. You know how some conversations make your nervous system exhale before you even realize you were tense? That's this one. Today, I'm talking with Shelby Zarnick, a licensed independent clinical social worker, an ADHD certified specialist, and the founder of Essential Life Tools, a nature-based multidisciplinary mental health center for neurodivergent families. Look, I could hardly get that out. Shelby's work cuts right through the noise. She helps kids, parents, and adults understand their brains, regulate their bodies, and finally get unstuck from the cycles that traditionally therapy alone won't manage. And she does it with this beautiful blend of practicality, neuroscience, and it's all grounded in nature's humanity. If you are parenting a neurodivergent child from difficult beginnings, this episode is for you. Welcome, Shelby, to Unmuted Love. I'm so glad you're here.
Thank you.
So you wear a lot of hats in your work. You're a clinical social worker, an ADHD specialist. You founded this center, which is unique and interesting, which I'm excited to hear about. And also you are supporting organizations, businesses, other groups to become trauma informed. And so that's a lovely sort of different way to focus your clinical skills. And so I love that. You'll have a chance to talk about that near the end. So everybody stay tuned so you can hear what Shelby's doing, the interesting things she's doing. When you talk about, the dance of real life, instead of maybe jumping right into the content, maybe I can just hear you talk a little bit about what the dance of real life is instead of chasing balance, because I talk about balance a lot. So I want to hear what the difference is from your point of view before we get into the nitty gritty of neurodivergence. So can you paint a picture of what that dance looks like for the parents listening to get a little taste of what you have to offer?
Yeah, so I think it comes from when I'm a very visual person. And so when I visualize balance, I think old school where it's those weights trying to balance, or like black and white of like percentages, or it's just like slow moving for me. And my life right now is really fast. So, I'm a seasonal single mom, and I'm married to a farmer who's also growing his business. We have 3 little girls, 7, 5, and almost 2.
Oh my goodness, your family's full.
Yes. And then I see clients. I'm trying to build a whole new different scope of clinic with the nature that you mentioned. And then I love doing other things. Like I dabble in coaching childcare centers. I dabble in professional paid presentations. So I visualize hats, and it's easier for me to jump in them and dance in them. So I may be sitting here working on a project like I'm working on our intake forms, making them holistic and a little bit more nature and movement in our screening tools. And then I got a phone call that I had a sick kid at school.
Oh.
And so it's like, well, maybe I started the day by balancing my time, but life happens. And so I have to just jump. I don't have time to put my stuff away and transition. I have to jump in my car to the next thing. Since I don't have time to breathe and recenter and ground myself, the visualize of dancing and imagining and laughing at myself, like twirling to the car or something, just makes it more fun. And then from a trauma perspective too, like dancing is a great way to get the wiggles and the stress out. So for me, if I balance, then I visualize and estimate and plan my days in balance, but then life with that setup does not allow for that. It's a guideline.
Yeah. So for my listeners here meeting you for the first time, how do you describe the heart of your work with neurodivergent families? How did you come into this?
Actually, it started with a psychiatrist who came to me and said, well, actually, Shelby, 1 in 4 of the diagnoses are ADHD, which I'd never heard of before. And so I went challenge accepted. And so I researched that. And then since I really get into things, I signed on for a 30-hour thing on ADHD that's holistic from diagnosing the whole thing. They were talking about tools. And I was like no one else does that, reflecting on myself. Then I started running around because I worked in a clinic with other disciplines. And I said, do you do that? And then I learned that not everyone thinks and functions as I do. Mm-hmm. And then in the meantime, my daughter was really struggling. Looking at her with the scope of neurodivergent, and myself really like allowed us to feel more empowered and move, because some people that get those diagnoses like are stuck, or they're kind of disempowered because they feel like they can't do anything. And sometimes in my area, the feedback from providers is, I don't know what to do for you. Which is sad. So I really got into neurodivergence, and then the language really hits home with clients, as in I do a lot of flipping of weaknesses to strengths. So sometimes I get really excited actually if someone's really stuck in my office, because then I'm like, oh, I see the weakness and I know that we can flip this to being a strength. Like right now, your fixation is working against you because you're not controlling it. But like, what if we could control that fixation to do a lot of work in a short amount of time?
What? That's possible? Sign me up.
Yeah. Or that's my goal, is to help people gain control of their brains.
Yeah, no, that's great. It's not good to hear that, because you're right. A lot of people that go to therapists, they're like, okay, yeah, got a diagnosis, but now what? And I'm like, yeah, and I do parenting, right? So I'm like, well, we're back to parenting strategies because that's what I got for you. And then there's like, okay, well, part of parenting strategies are tools, right, for how to manage your own brain at the same time you're supporting your child to manage theirs, right?
Well, and especially if we're dealing with trauma informed, because, that's systematic. And I just did a training this morning about a parent that I had to warn her and say, you had trauma in childhood. So as your kids get to those ages, you may be triggered
Yeah, for
by
sure,
that.
for sure.
So it's
So
working with both.
yeah, absolutely. So parents often ask me, though, when they come to me, am I looking at ADHD, or is this trauma, autism? Is this sensory processing, or is it all the above? How do you help families untangle the overlap without maybe overwhelming them, or maybe I'm just looking at it in a completely upside down way? What's the best way to look at that?
Well, I do two different things. So, like, one of the things is I educate that I do my practice kind of like primary cares. There are some diagnoses that's like the flu. You come in, you get treatment, and the flu goes away, and you go out into the world until the world gives you another virus. And sometimes, if you don't treat the virus, then it's maybe started as a virus and grew to pneumonia. So it's like longer treatment, same path. And then there are some that are like diabetes, but even the diabetes is treated differently.
Mhm.
You can take medications, you can do lifestyle changes. Today, we're going to start with what speaks to you. So, is it that your hearing sensitivity is affecting your ability to function? Like, some people come to me with social anxiety disorder. And then when I get to the heart of it, then I'm like, well, actually, you're avoiding because you're triggered by the auditory. Like, you're triggered by the overwhelmingness of sound. So let's use what I learned from occupational therapist tools, or refer to that, and just try it. Let's just try it and see what happens. And then they'll come to me and say, well, that didn't work, or that wasn't the root.
Mhm.
It's the dance between how much time do we use to get to the root and be an assessment and diagnosing, and how much time do we kind of start with something, or what do you believe? Like, what do you want the diagnosis to serve as for you?
That's a little bit like peeling the onion, right? So you start with a layer and then you work on that because that's what's at the top and that's what's most intense. And then you find, oh, another layer and another, right? Until maybe you do get to the root. It's a little bit like what happens when people come to me. They come to me for help with behavior, and what they get is help with their behavior. Once they start looking at that, then they start realizing, oh, I've been thinking I need to find the root of something happening inside my child, when really I need to be seeing them differently so that I can be present for them however they are, regardless of what diagnosis they have. What do you think about that?
No, that really prompted me to. I went straight to one of the quotes I have on the wall, basically saying the picture that you paint of your child is the picture they become. So if you are really focusing on their negatives and telling them that they are this person, you are this person versus behavior, then that's the kiddo at some point will be like, okay, well then this is who I am.
Right. So if you're bad, you're bad. Don't do that. Don't do this. Don't do that. That's bad. Before long, that's what they think, right? Well, I'm bad, so it doesn't matter.
And that's what your brain focuses on, right? Like
Mhm.
our brain is automatically built to focus on the negative, because when we were in the jungle being chased by tigers, that saved us. Like,
Right.
what's wrong with what we're doing? But now that's not where we live. And so we have to actually retrain our brains, like, regardless.
Right. Regardless of what the diagnosis is.
Like all people. It's
Right.
not an automatic thing, it's a skill. I feel like that really hits home with people when I'm like, okay, well, what is the skill that's missing? Like, one of my biggest quotes is, behind every struggle is a skill waiting to be found and a strength. And your job is to find it
Yeah, I
and
love
teach
that.
it.
I love that. Yeah, that's so great. Your work with kids, I'm imagining their creativity was punished, their sensitivity was misunderstood or misread, and their spark was labeled like you're too much. How does that, steady drip of daily misattunement shape the negative core beliefs these kids carry, which we were just talking about? But how are some other ways that they get shaped besides just, oh, you're bad, and so you might as well be bad? What else might we be looking for, these sort of internal working model beliefs that develop inside our kids because they have maybe been misunderstood the whole time?
That actually brought me straight to an image of a male client that was like in his 40s. And his was, I am unworthy. And then it kind of went into like the weaknesses, right? Like, I am forgetful. And it came into ability. Like, at some point, what I wanted to fight with society was that I want to make people feel able again in a world that tells you you can't. I want to replace that with I can.
Yeah.
And so for like him, we actually went to trauma work. We went back to the 5th grade self where he first got bullied by his best friend because of a disconnect or the difference of how he thinks or how he acted or his struggles with forgetfulness. And then it kind of became part of his identity and grew to where it was this huge struggle and trigger for him like 40 years later.
Right. I mean, those stay with you, right? A lifetime.
Yeah, and then it grew into, his automatic behaviors, his automatic thoughts. The way that he shaped himself was all kind of from this. So I also teach and I assess for those that are neurodivergent in the older years to see if there is trauma that's influencing from the past, from
Right.
being different.
I realize that works in the reverse as well. So I think that's what you're leading to in a way. When you have a neurodivergent child who already believes they're wrong or lazy or broken or something, right, worthless, where do you start? And I was thinking, how come I think I'm smart? And I don't think I'm that smart, really, probably. I mean, IQ test would probably say I'm average, but I was told repeatedly throughout my childhood how smart I was. Now, I wasn't told I was beautiful, so I'm not sitting here thinking that. But I could have been told that too. That would have been awesome. I'm beautiful and smart. Imagine.
Smart. The combination.
Yeah. But I think that, I mean, it wasn't actually done by my parents, though it could have been. It was done by teachers who they persisted with this notion that I was smart and I was going to make something of my life. And I don't know why they were telling me that. I always thought I would make something of my life like everybody, but I think they knew my family life. And so they were very focused on leading me somewhere. And it did lead me somewhere. And it was all subconscious. I mean, I really didn't realize that they had shaped me the way they did, but they did. So it's kind of powerful when you stop and think about the things that shaped you, because bad things shape you, difficult, wrong things shape you, crisis, trauma shape you, how people respond to you shape you, but also lots of good things shape you. Like, why am I a generous person? Why am I a smart person? Why am I these things? Why do I think these things? And then I can always go back and see how I got that. So it works both directions. So hey, let's get rid of those ones that are wrong, lazy, and broken.
Or like I said, I try to flip them.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I was like, well, were you lazy or were you efficient? Like,
Oh, I like that.
I'll never forget this one person. And he actually caught it, and then we practiced communicating and flipping it, because when you communicate it and then you get the feedback, then that further influences your change. I was like, I don't think you were lazy. I think you just waited till someone got up and then you just asked them to do it while they were doing something else.
That is efficient.
And Yeah, and then he got me too when he was older. Because then finally I was like, you just get us. Because then he became my friend, and then it grew into this thing. And then I just kind of was like joking with him. I'm like, you need to stop being efficient because this is kind of secretly annoying me. And we laugh about it. But lazy is one of the top ones, and unmotivated
Mm-hmm.
too. I'll say, well, but you fixate too. You just need to you just need to find the spark. You just like, who wants to read Moby Dick? Like, unless you enjoy the stuff that it's based on or something like that. Like, it's a struggle for everyone. It's just, for you, it's more of a struggle. Like, the anxiety and stuff is the same for everyone. Like, you're supposed to feel anxiety when you meet someone for the first time. It's just, it's stronger for you, or you notice it more than others. Because when you're saying neurodivergent, I've been describing it a lot as like, there are these fast brains, overthinking brains, and how they manifest is different for everyone. And that's also why my primary care analogy works. Because like, maybe right now your mood's dysregulated. So that's what it is. And we get that under control. And then your obsessive brain of thought loops, the only way you found to break it is through these behaviors that were compulsions that were okay before, but now they're getting in the way of you leaving the house.
Mm-hmm. So you use some cognitive behavioral reframing. Is that sort of what we're talking about there?
I think so. I get so caught up. So like, I'm eclectic. So I call upon all the theories until I find one that matches my clients. Like, some people want to rock and roll with value systems for acceptance and commitment therapy, for the visual of who I want to be, and at the decision point getting to that, they want to take the time because they're like, Shelby, I don't understand my brain. I don't understand how it functions. I don't have words to values. So I want to do that. And some of them are like, I just want to stop disrupting these interactions. So then I'll go to dialectical behavior therapy with distress tolerance and be like, okay, these urges and feelings, what are we going to do with them? And then I'll usually pick like temperature change. Like, I literally have one that has an icy hot patch because she's an adult. She's like, I'm in the middle of a meeting. I can't walk out and meditate. I can't but I'm feeling it grow in me. And so she has an icy hot patch in her pocket that she just can put under her sleeve. Getting creative.
Yeah.
And how do I do this stuff without disrupting things?
Right. So some cognitive behavioral, some solution focused, some tricks.
Yeah.
Some handstands if you need to make them. Yeah, that sounds good. So I'm sure you've observed that ADHD often walks hand in hand with trauma histories. And I'm wondering what patterns you've seen in kids, maybe and adults, that clinicians and parents tend to miss. What are some things that you notice?
This is actually the whole point of my presentation earlier today, which was kind of when I have a client in front of me that starts off with ADHD or the restless body. And then after we hang out together, a lot of times I find trauma somewhere in the history. And when we take a minute to do my version of trauma processing with them, which is, I'm going to go with you together and we're going to go. And I did in even younger years with my 15-year-olds when it happened to them younger. Let's just go together to the 5-year-old self. And, let's timeline your thoughts and feelings. Were there any questions unanswered? And is there also anything that you learned or that strengthened you for today? What was the opportunity for you to reframe that, which is a bit different? And
Neurosculpting.
Yeah, then I'll find, then we're more able, the body gets less restless to then begin using the tools that they couldn't before. I do a lot of chicken or the egg when it comes to, because I do find that, and I joke because my therapist used to say, oh, Shelby, there's trauma in everything. and then now that I've been in practice for more years, I'm like, oh my gosh, it's so true. Like, almost in most of my diagnoses, I'm finding some ounce of trauma, either from being different because of the different thinking ADHD, the brain that's always just running and hard to control kind of a thing. And the really big overlap is really that restless body. So even with my trauma, even with my ADHD, cognitive tools don't work. What we're trained in don't work if their bodies are too restless.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've really partnered with occupational therapists, and I really want to try this treatment called MNRI, which you can Google because I can never, it's like Magiston Nova nervous reflex integration.
Yes.
But like what I'm seeing is like if I can't get someone to use the tools, they'll get this treatment. And then it's like they're able to deep breathe when they used to say, like, Mom, I can't. Like, don't ask me. I can't breathe right now.
Mm-hmm.
Which is it's a body tool.
Mm-hmm.
It's a nervous system issue.
Yeah, when kids can't regulate, we know that regulation is possible when the nervous system finally feels supported, right? So it sounds to me like you're also saying that a truly regulation-friendly environment has a look to it or a feel to it, or things that need to happen in order for kids to be able to come into their bodies. Do you have some other supports besides the integration process for that? How would you set up a truly regulation-friendly environment for kids who are neurodiverse?
Oh, see, now you've asked me my biggest challenge because so I had the daughter that people would look at me and they would say, Shelby, you're a therapist. And I'm like, right, I have the calming corner. We regulate throughout the day. We do all the things. And I went to my own therapist and I'm like, I need help. Like sometimes it's hard to be the therapist outside of your therapy. Like,
Oh, yeah.
Because what my daughter would do is if it would almost look a little bit of autistic, where some nights if she was hungry or tired, those are her biggest things. Or I can tell when she's going to get sick because she'll be dysregulated for no reason. And then a day or two before she'll like have a fever. But the cup would need to be a certain way during the bedtime routine. Or if you can tell she gets stuck and then she can't make a decision because her brain is just stuck on what she wants or what she doesn't want. And breaking that loop is like impossible when they're little and they don't know. Like I'm talking 1 or 2 years old. And so for her, outside of MNRI, that was like a godsend. I mean, it's called the Wilbergo brushing protocol.
Yeah, I know it.
And it was crazy, like when she couldn't speak, she literally, you could just see like the processing wasn't there or the word is there and she literally just can't speak it. I would do this.
Mm-hmm.
And I would like force it upon her because I knew within 5 minutes she would be speaking. Like I'll never forget when we went to the occupational therapist, because for me, she only does it with me in daycare. Her tantrums were only a little bit enough. Only certain nights if I couldn't keep certain routine or she was hungry or tired, those were her big things. Mm-hmm. It would do this. And then when the OT put her in this lay down position and then put noise with it, she screamed in pain.
Oh.
Like it was painful. And so the tools on it, like we've discovered, is just I'll take her back to MNRI. We'll do the Wilberger brushing protocol, picking her up because she's, if I can, and putting her in a different place. Because she's also the kid, you can't hug her when she's dysregulated. Like all the things they tell you to do. Co-regulation does not work.
That kind of co-regulation. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that kind. Like, trying to, like, when she's that point of escalation where you're stuck because you need to leave to regulate yourself, but then she's like, you're abandoning me. And so you try to hug her and she then gets more. I can tell when she curls her hands and her toes, trying to distract her. It's like you're sitting here just trying to break the loop. And now I know that picking her up and saying nothing and going downstairs and going into a different environment and just saying nothing, even sitting next to her and giving her the space, is what we have to do when she's to that point.
Right. It's what she needs is some space to regulate without interjecting yourself into it.
Yeah. And you have to be in the same room. Right. It's really like I want you here, but I don't. It's the dance, really.
Yeah, for sure. So let's segue a little bit to some of the other work that you do that's not specific to individuals, but to building trauma-informed environments. I know you're consulting on that and helping people build trauma-informed environments, not just trauma-informed conversations. So what are the biggest design mistakes you see in schools or clinics or homes that unintentionally dysregulate neurodivergent kids?
White walls, fluorescent lights. That was easy.
What? I tried to flip this around. Remember that? No, I don't have any of
I
that.
was and I say that because, yeah, I go into my clinic and I'll never forget when I just found the magnetic cover for the top of it, and I hung up a few pictures, and I was consistently then having clients say, oh my gosh, it felt like an interrogation room.
Mm.
Lighting is huge. I will say even people that can't talk to me, I just change the lights. Those are some of the like noise. I'm not sure how to help with the noise. I know I just have like one kid that when she was for trauma, like the teacher in the next room could be celebrating whatever they're dancing and practicing to, but she could hear that and her body transferred that to being yelling, and so she'd run.
Right.
Because it like, and no one believed me because her trauma was 0 to 3 months.
Right. Oh yeah, a lot of trauma is in the first 33 months of life. Most of it, big trauma.
Yeah. The stuff that, so like the big, like white walls, fluorescent lights, are easy changes I do with people. Getting different seating, allowing for the space to stand, like allowing kids to have taped off areas. I do a lot with color and fonts, like sans serif. If they have like dyslexia or a lighting issue, the black and white is not the best for focus. Really pastel colors, earth tones. I completely,
Sort of seems like
nature.
schools are designed sort of the opposite of learning environments, right? Because they almost all have white walls and
Like
fluorescent lighting.
institutions. I don't
Yeah.
know. I hear again and again people talking about prison, and it's like,
Yeah.
and like
Cool.
teachers try hard, but
Yeah.
the other big thing I forgot to say was too much stuff.
Oh, right.
If
For
you
sure.
walk in and every part of the wall is a different color, I like visually overwhelmed. So I do a lot with purpose. Or if you are hanging up your rules, we're having the same rules look the exact same way in designated rule areas. So I'm also trained in pyramid model with school systems for visuals, and so I go to that a lot too.
We're going to run out of time before I even get to half my actual curious questions. So I want to sort of focus in here to help my listeners
Okay.
who are generally parents of children from difficult beginnings. And they often have, I mean, if you have severe trauma, I would say you are neurodivergent anyway, even if you don't come under the heading of some list that says neurodivergence is this, because the whole system has changed as a result of that early trauma. But
And I will say that's my horrible habit of like, if you come in, I'm always assessing for like sensory trauma and ADHD and restlessness.
yeah.
But yeah.
So, what are a few of your favorite strength based reframes that parents can start using today? So, let's get practical with their
Okay.
kids from difficult beginnings who may or may not be diagnosed neurodivergent, but we know they are. What are some of the things that you see people saying? And I'll tell you a few. He's defiant, cries all the time, she's unmotivated. I have like lists of those words, and we've already covered a few of them, but what's a reframe on some of those, or some that you find standing out quite a bit?
Probably disrespect, rude, and defiant. Like there
Mm-hmm.
is some research now that has a word for it where we habitually challenge someone when they ask us to do something. There is a research word for that that could be defiant. Challenger. My favorite flip of challenger is, well, they're just passionate. They're just passionate about whatever they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And passion's a huge emotion.
Yeah.
And so that's a big reframe. Defiant, I want to note because, I feel like defiant disorders come with neurodivergent. And for me, if you go back to my quote, behind every struggle is a skill needing to be found, then defiance to me means we're missing something.
Mm-hmm.
Like they don't know how to use words. And so they're being defiant. Like one of my recent reframes was, is he being defiant or does he not understand?
Mm-hmm.
Or
Yeah.
is he doing it in a way that's not the way that's your way? I hear a lot of defiance with math because I know that's a weird one.
Yeah.
It's because you can get to a solution in multiple ways,
True.
right? And if you have a non-flexible teacher that wants it her way, that may not be shiny enough for a way that that client can remember, that kiddo can remember, we're gonna miss it.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I mean, my background comes from saying that all behavior is communication, all behavior makes sense. And so if you see defiance, it makes sense somehow. What sense does it make from the child's shoes, right? Stand in the child's shoes and see what sense defying whatever was requested or demanded or whatever in that moment. What might that have meant to the child, and what might the child's defiance be meaning in terms of communication? And so that helps reframe it, I think, for me quite a bit, so that I get out of my own shoes. Because when I'm standing in my own shoes, I'm generally a parent. And if a kid is saying no to me about something simple, I'm like, yes, no is not acceptable. I'm like, why isn't no acceptable for me? I don't know. But
Well, why is it so hard? Like, why? Like, this was very
uh-huh,
easy. Like, I'm totally.
yeah.
And a lot of the top skills is just, I don't know how to transition. Like, I don't know how to leave the thing that's very important or exciting
Oh,
to me right now to do a non-good task or a hard task, or the transition, right? You have to somehow
mhm,
find a stopping point
yep.
and then remember it to walk to the task and then do the task and then remember what you were doing to go.
Right.
Like,
That's a lot
there's
of
all these
skills.
steps
That's a lot of
and
steps to have.
skills. Like, those transitions is a lot of where I find quote unquote defiance. And one of the tools that I use, I challenge parents, is ask the question, how exactly?
How
So,
exactly? Say that again.
so this is an extreme example. So there was a kiddo that started his front curtains on fire.
Yep. Yep.
And so when I explain it to them, I'm like, well, when you say what, what feels and gets aggressive and looks down upon, and then they're scared and they'll close. It's really hard to go at a person and say, well, how exactly, in a mean, like, so how exactly did the curtains get on fire?
Oh, I see what
Well, I
you're
lit
saying.
them.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Okay.
how exactly did you
Mm-hmm.
think to light them? Because I was sad. Well, how exactly did sadness get to lighting the curtains on fire? Well, I miss my dad. Well, how exactly does lighting the curtains on fire help you with missing your dad? Well, my dad's a firefighter. And I knew
Great.
if I lit the front curtains on fire,
Yeah, Dad would come
noted,
home.
someone would see it. And so this was a newly divorced family. And so I love using this example because what started as an extreme, like this could be like
Yeah.
extreme aggression, extreme fire, extreme, was this sad little kid
Yeah.
that just wanted his dad. And how exactly also then gives you the pattern of events too
Oh, I love
to
that. I've never
find.
used that, and I've never even heard that, and it makes so much sense. And I'm going to steal it if you don't mind.
No, you're fine. This is the one I love to teach because I'm all about patterns. Everything's a pattern. I get whiteboards with my kiddos and parents. The other tool I use is I have a wiggle chair. It's crazy, these defiant kids that don't know the story.
Yeah.
And they start to wiggle. And
Mhm.
then it's like the story comes out. So in these homes, I'm like, parent, when you want to talk to your kiddo, you're going to put them in this wiggle chair. You're going to both wiggle.
That's a great
And
tip.
then his defiance went away.
Yeah, that's awesome. Hey, I don't want to end without you having a chance to share how people can get more of your wisdom. These will, of course, be in the show notes, but please share a little bit about how people can find you.
Yeah, so probably the quickest way is to go on my website and request a consultation, a free consultation with me, or shoot me an email, and the phone number and text is on there also. I love doing this with all sorts of people.
So, not just people, but also if any listeners are members of organizations or businesses or other kinds of groups who need some trauma informed consultation, you're available for that, right, Shelby?
Oh, yes, I love changing spaces.
Okay, great. All right. So thank you so much for joining me here today. I really appreciate you coming in. I know that we just barely put a dot on a very big triangle of information I'm sure we could have gotten into, but we'll try it again another time. I think there's just more to explore here.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
So parents, all brains are diverse. Different rhythms require different supports, and your family is allowed to thrive in a way that actually fits who you are and who your kids are. If you liked this conversation, share it with another parent who needs a softer story about their child's brain or maybe their own brains. Be sure to subscribe to our VIP parent program at patreon.com/unmutedlove. That's patreon.com/unmutedlove. So you can grab today's printable and all the others for that matter. Take good care of your nervous systems today, dear friends. You matter. Your love matters. when more than love is required. And I will see you in the next episode of Unmuted Love.